everyone. Sound check. Can you hear me? Great. Visuals good? Great. All right. So we're about to start. Want to make sure streaming is good and everybody's here. So who we got? We got David, Robin, Yvette, Bianca, Ingrid, Elena, Francielli, Yurka, Stephanie M, Fabiola, Miguel, Millie, Alondra, Chris, Sonia, Vanessa, camera please, Muslima, and Jeffrey. Stream still not up. Can anybody check on your end? Can anybody go to YouTube Live and let me know if you see it there, if the stream is up or not? You're seeing it? Okay. My computer doesn't say it's live. Got it. Okay, now it does. Cool. Yeah, it's all Bianca. It's always going to be behind a little bit. There's a few seconds delay, but as long as it's showing, that's what matters. All right, cool. All right, so let's kickstart this class for today. We have two chapters we're going to cover. Chapter 22, which is just a brief overview about the fact that licensing is regulated by each state. Okay, and the next chapter is going to be risk management. Now, risk management is more towards office, is more towards property management, towards investing. But you need to understand the basics of risk management. I'm not going to be too focused on risk management, so I'm going to breeze right through that one. It's not heavily tested in the state exam. If you're taking the broker's course, if you're taking a property management course, or an investment course, I would go slower on it. Okay, so today's going to be an easy class for Monday. Okay, and then tomorrow we start complicating things. Is that good? The cool thing about this week is that we're going to go over a lot of state regulations. So we're going to be mainly dealing with this class is for New Jersey. So we're going to be mainly dealing with New Jersey licensing. And Because we already covered everything we're going to talk about, I'm just going to hit the points that we need to hit for New Jersey specific, so state specific things, okay? So, if nobody has questions regarding the previous chapters, right, we're going to talk about this one real quick. And it says an overview of licensing and regulation. Now, oh, okay, Muslima has a question. So, Muslima, everybody knows. Until I start, you can post as many questions. Once I start, that's it. Whatever question you're going to post now, I'm going to only address it at the end of the week. We didn't even get to math yet. We were talking about what's rods and chains. We didn't get to math class. That's on Friday. It was on Quizlet, okay? It was on Quizlet. In which chapter was that? On Quizlet. If you're thinking too much, it has nothing to do with these chapters we've been going through. All right, but it's I'm just messing with you. So that's math. We'll get there. All right. Title or closing? Are you gonna make me look it up? No. Now you're making me look it up. Fraud. It gives a chance for more questions. All right, so it's not in closings. Let's see if it's in title. It could have been that I made a mistake and put it in the wrong place, so. And it's not in title. All right. I thought I missed something in class. I did title, closing, RESPA, and TILA. All right, so let's do this because I don't see it in title. I don't see it in closings. I just searched for rods there. It should be in math, but if you find it in a different Quizlet other than math, let me know. Maybe under legal descriptions, maybe. That's probably, yes, that's what it is. Okay. Not even. She says yes, yes, there it is. All right, so just look up later and let me know where you find it, okay? All right. All right, this is up. Everything's going good. Okay, great. So if anybody has any questions, address them regarding this chapter. Address them as we go. Regarding previous chapters or unrelated chapters, hold until the break or until the end. If anybody's on YouTube watching, you're more than welcome to ask questions as well on YouTube chat, which I have available. Okay. Let me see. Jeffrey, I need to see you. Elena, I need to see you. Vanessa, where are you? Vanessa's gone. All right, make sure you have your cameras on. All right. So as I was going over licensing and regulations, so state license law, pretty much it says that every real estate practitioner is in the United States is subject to licensing requirements according to the laws of the state in which the practitioner resides and does business. States have enacted real estate license laws to ensure a minimal level of competence in real estate professionals. State license laws also protect the public by requiring licensees to adhere to standards of ethical conduct and professionalism. So what we're saying, pretty simple, is even though there's federal rules, every state enforces the licensing rules. They enforce the professional regulations of the practice itself. And that is true for almost every license. Okay, so there's federal laws, trickle down to the state, and then depending on what you do, it could even go to county or municipal. In this case, you will have a state license, so your state regulates what the ethics are or what the professional practices must be, and also they regulate the different fines or violations that you have to pay in accordance to your profession. So one of the things that they do also is establish personal education professional requirements for obtaining the license. So one of the requirements, as you guys are doing right here, it's the pre-licensing. Some states have a post-licensing as well. So they do Florida, for instance, you have 70 hours, if I'm not mistaken, pre-licensing, and then you have 90 hours post-licensing. So 2 years later, let's figure out if you're still eligible to be a realtor, right? Because in the beginning, I can give you so much info, like Texas is 160 or 180 hours, right? I can give you so much training, so much information, but what are you going to remember later, right? So state of Florida has the post licensing to see where you're at and also give you the edge or the advantage over your profession. So it's like, hey, here's the basics. Later on, do you remember the basics? Now there's this too, right? Now that you're an active agent, which is pretty cool in my opinion, the pre-licensing and post-licensing. All right. And also, you need the post-licensing in order to keep your license active. So it's like they gave you a probationary period. Something like that, like the driver's license, like a probationary period. Hey, you got your real estate license. This is what you can do or not do. 2 years later, let's figure out if you can be a full-blown agent. So some states have that. They establish statutory guidelines of professional conduct and establishing continuing education to maintain license. Here, for instance, state of New Jersey, we only started the CE credits or continuing education in 2011. So until 2011, that was it. You were licensed once and renew every 2 years because that was the requirement, right? But there was no continuous education to show, hey, is this person evolving or not, right? So there's no requirement whatsoever. Since 2011, yeah, Miguel, CE, right, continuous education. Since 2011, every 2 years right before renewal, you have to complete CE credits, which we'll address throughout the rest of the week. They also created a regulatory body, which here we call Real Estate Commission, to create regulations and procedures. And that will enable to discharge, to administer and enforce licensing, and also to enable and discharge its legal responsibilities. For all the students of real estate who are planning to enter the field of practice, it is vitally important to understand the state real estate license laws and their effect on one's envisioned career in real estate. Now, since real estate is a large, complex industry, students must investigate local, this is very important, local licensing requirements for specific activities. See, from one state to another, like I said, the rules might change. So there are some things you might be able to do in New York that you cannot do in California. Some things you can do in Texas that you can't do in Pennsylvania. So every state, again, has their own thing. So if you are, this is why a lot of people come to me like, Bruno, should I get my New York license? Like, if that's where you live, if that's where you operate, why not, right? If you're 6 months here, 6 months there, why not? But other than that, if you're not actively traveling there or spending enough time there to know the market, to know the local rules, why would you? Just do referrals, right? Same thing here in New Jersey. I think I mentioned to you guys, in New Jersey, I do a lot of referrals. Why? Because I don't work the whole state of New Jersey. I can, but I don't. It doesn't make sense. How can I serve my clients best if I'm all over the place, right? It's impossible. And every municipality has their own rules. So forget the state. Municipalities has their own rules. So why, again, would I want to be licensed in other states? For teaching, no problem, because I do have to be able to teach whatever that state imposes. But as a realtor, unless you're trying to like open up a real estate branch agency in every single state, right? A branch office in every single state, then why would you? Right? It doesn't make sense. As a salesperson, to me, it doesn't make sense. It all depends on your ultimate goal, and that I cannot tell you what to do. But in my opinion, referrals work great because I'm not traveling to California to go show a listing, right? I am working with somebody, a professional in California, to handle the listing for me, and I get a referral for the business that they do over there. Simple. Okay. Rob, yeah, here for licensing rules, when they say local licensing, it's state level because the licensing is a New Jersey state license or New York, just like your driver's license, right? It's the same thing. But yeah, depending on what you're doing, every municipality has different rules. For commercial, for residential, there's different rules from town to town. So that's what I was trying to say. But for licensing, to be licensed and be able to handle real estate in that state, it's state based. Miguel's asking, great question. What is it to refer? Find a house and an agent that suits a client? No. Referring is Miguel. If you don't mind me asking, where do you live or where your market is going to be? What do you believe to be your ideal market? Let me know. Newark? I'm sorry, that's taken. You're out of here. Next, Stephanie M. What's going to be your market? Sorry, Miguel. You can't rule Newark when I rule Newark. Just saying. Or are you talking about, Miguel, are you talking about Newark, Delaware? Because I'll let you go to Newark, Delaware. Other than that, you're not playing in my town. I'm just messing with you. There's plenty of fish out there. So there's so much money to be made in Newark. It's not even funny. Stephanie. Ooh. That's an aggressive claim. Bergen County. You're going to handle the whole Bergen County? Okay. All right. So Bergen County. I don't deal with Bergen County. All right. It's not me. So Miguel, drop the phone. Miguel, so here's what I would do. Not for you because obviously you're local. Why would I refer to you? Just saying. But anyway, unless you're one of my agents. If you're one of my agents, then I'll refer to my local agents if I'm not available. I do that all the time. Okay, there you go. But Stephanie, Paramus, Saddlebrook, Wyckoff, or okay, the whole Bergen County. I just had a listing, a potential listing in Oradell the other day. Could have been yours. That's what it is, Miguel. A referral is I have a client in an area that I do not serve or that I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to find an agent in the area that's familiar with that area and say, hey, Stephanie, I got this potential listing. Would you mind taking over? Right? So Stephanie's going to do the work for 2% commission or 3% commission, whatever. That's her side. If she finds the buyer, great. But I gave her the seller. So I would get 25, 30, 35, whatever we agree as a referral fee. But Stephanie M., she's the one that's going to handle the whole thing, not me. I don't do anything else other than, hey, would you like the clients? Right? We put it in writing. Our brokers, not us, our brokers both sign off agreeing to the commission release, right? And that's it. If Stephanie's great at what she does, and I expect her to be, right? That's why I'm referring to Stephanie, right? If she's great at what she does, she closes, and I show up at the end to say, hey, remember me? That was my client. So please give me my money. Simple as that. So we don't get involved in anything after the referral is done. Now, the cool thing about my clients, when I refer, most of them are ready to go. So I already educated them on the listing side and on the buying side. And that's why I can negotiate with Stephanie M. I'll negotiate with her that, hey, 35 or I'll go somewhere else. Give me 35% commission. The average commission referral is 25. But I already gave you the client ready to sign. So, does that make sense? So depending on the amount of work or how professional you are in the referrals, you'll negotiate your position for that referral agreement as well. Muslima, great question. Do you split with your broker? Well, you are sponsored by your broker and you do everything on behalf of your broker, so that referral is your broker's referral. Yeah, absolutely. The cool thing is that 3 years from now, if you want, you can become your own broker if you're not happy with that. But then there's other responsibilities and liabilities that maybe make sense for you to split sometimes. I don't mind the splitting. I don't make 100% commission. And I'm a partner. Imagine that. But I don't do it. I don't think. Oh no, Stephanie. Much as I love you, nothing is verbal. It's gonna be in writing. We're gonna write this down. We're gonna notarize. We're gonna make sure there's a police there. No, I'm just kidding. So I'll fax over something to you, or e-sign, and you'll send it back to me, and we're good. Yvette, I skipped your question. Hold on. Let me show you what I got, Yvette. So, Yvette says, you skipped my question. Oh, all the way up here. Okay, this one, because you put another question mark, so I'm sorry. Is this the one? All right, cool. Can you be licensed in New Jersey and refer and make commission in other states? Absolutely. So if I have a buyer for Florida, right? I refer to somebody in Florida. That somebody in Florida is going to pay my broker. My broker is going to split with me. My broker / partner is now saying, I don't get 100% either. Like giving me attitude over a chat right now. Unbelievable. These people. Always pay the company. That's how it's supposed to be, the business. Did I miss any questions from anybody else? Did I answer all of them? What is the split with the broker in that case, Robin? Whatever you negotiate. So usually it would be whatever your regular split is, as if it was a sale. So out of that 25%, let's say you're on the 70-30, you get 70% of the 25%. Okay, so if it's 2,500, you get 70% of the 2,500, and the broker keeps the rest. But again, what did you do to deserve that money, and what did the broker do to deserve that money? You're using pretty much the flag, right? So he gets 30%, or whatever it is, your agreement gets 30% of the referral, which you didn't do anything, right? And you get 70% of the referral, again, which you didn't do anything other than, hey, Stephanie, could you take my client? That's all. In any state. So if you can refer to 50 states, why would you get licensed in all the states? The same. Right? I think a question is coming through with a smile. There you go. I'll buy lunch. All right, since Pedro is listening in on this, Pedro, what do you think? Lunch must come with a nice bottle of wine and a bunch of other stuff, right? See what he replies. All right, Millie has a question. He says, yep. Wine and lunch is good. Millie, so can you show homes on the border? Yeah, you can stand right at the border between New Jersey and PA and be like, hey, there's a home over there. There's a home over there. That's all you can do. On page 496. Okay, one of the questions at the end. Okay, but does it say on the border as a broker? That's the question. I'm pretty sure that's not the question. It says on the border? She's arguing with me. Gotta love it. What's page 496? On the border. Okay, page 496. Oh, that's in the physical book? That's in the physical book? Okay, what's the title of that chapter? I can help you out, I just need to get there. What is the chapter? Chapter 21. Problems there. Chapter 21. Kelly says chapter 22. Guys, decide. That's today's chapter. We're not there yet. You're already asking questions on these chapters? So ahead of the game. Is this the question? Yes? Okay. Ah, Pedro's so nice. He went to take a picture of the physical book to send me that question. He's so nice. When he wants. Anyway, I got to it. So thank you, Pedro. And thank you, Franceli, as well. All right, a broker operates an office in a town on the state line. A buyer from an adjoining state wants to see homes on both sides of the border. I already told you what to do. Put your foot right behind the line and show it. In this case, the broker may operate in both states since the market boundary overlaps the state lines. May not show the buyer homes on the other side without a non-resident license. May show homes on the other side as long as closing takes place in his home state. May not show homes in other states unless accompanied by a licensee from that state. I don't know what you're telling me, but let me know what your answer is to this one. What do you feel the answer is for this one? Guys, since we're here, and I just said about those rules, let me know what you guys think when it comes to this. Let's see everybody's opinions. Okay, I'm gonna leave it up here so you guys can look at it. Okay, everybody appears to say, okay, we got one person that says B. Two people that say B. Okay, I got a few more to say B. Millie, what was your answer? D. You said D. Okay. Okay, so majority of you said D. Okay. The correct answer is, drum roll. Correct answer is B. I cannot show any homes unless I have a non-resident license. Okay. So Even if I'm accompanied by a licensee from that state, I cannot represent myself as a realtor in that state. So it's not the matter of being accompanied or not, it's the fact that I'm not licensed in the state to even talk about the real estate in that state. All I can do is refer. So if I don't have a non-resident license, I cannot show any homes. The person from that state can show homes. And I'm just a guest over there. So I'm still referring to that state. You got it? I know it's tricky. It's between B and D. It is tricky. But being a company or not, the question is saying that you are the one showing. The question is saying that you are the one handling the transaction. Right? So the answer is no, you cannot. Unless you have a non-resident license. So if somebody with a New York license can operate in the state of New Jersey, well, they have to have a non-resident license in New Jersey. Okay? So you need to apply for a license. So again, correct answer would be B, as in boy. Questions? Even though I need to go through the the chapter, I'll take advantage now. Did you guys understand why? We're good? Okay. School exam, state exam, this is the format. Everything is tricky, and be ready for that. All right? They're very similar answers. You might feel thrown towards this one, but again, you cannot show homes at all in another state, at all, accompanied or not. Okay? Who is showing the home? The person licensed in that state. You're the one that is accompanying. You're the one that says, if you want, to be there present, but you cannot speak about real estate in that particular state. Okay? All right? So let's go to book. And let's go back to the chapter we're at. Obtaining a real estate license. So services requiring licensure, types of licenses, and licensing requirements and procedures. Okay. By the way, at the end of each of these questions, at the end of the book, so after that page you're at, right after all that is the answers to all of these, and tell you the page where you can find it. So we're going to find some of the stuff here. So services requiring a license. Pretty much the answer is any person who performs a real estate service on behalf of another party for consideration must be duly licensed under state law. What is consideration? Any type of compensation. Any. Okay? So if it's a fee, let's say you charge commission, it's consideration. If it's a valuable exchange like a car, it's consideration. Like let's say, hey, the car is worth $10,000. Your commission was going to be $10,000. The car's in the garage. You sell it, it's yours. There's compensation. If there's some type of compensation or consideration, exchange of value, then you must have a license. When you are doing this for somebody else, if you're selling your own property, you need a license. Because it's your own property, it's not on behalf of another. So no, you don't need a license. What if you're selling your uncle's property? Do you need a license if you're selling your uncle's property? Or your dad's property, or your mother's property, or your cousin's property, or your sister, brother? Do you need a license to help them sell? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. All right. Stephanie M gives me a C. Muslima, don't yell at me. Thank you. Okay. Miguel. All right. Thank you. No, if it's done for free. Yes, if you expect compensation. So it depends. That would be the answer. Let's look a little bit further. If the question says, you're helping your father sell his property, right? If in the question somehow they talk about some type of consideration or exchange of value, then the answer is yes, because you're helping somebody else sell their home in exchange for that compensation. If the question does not address any type of compensation, then it was done for free. So Miguel and Elena had the right answer. And Franciele is like, family who? No, they paying. That's pretty much what Franciele just said. I like your spirit, though. That's exactly how it is. Yeah. All right. So always think about this. Look at the answer. Look at the question and look at the answers for type of compensation. If there's no compensation addressed at all, you need a license. No, because it's a for sale by owner, and you're just marketing. Okay, it's your own expense or whatever. You're just helping. But if there is any type of compensation, whether it's money, exchange of services, or any other valuable good or service that a person expects to be paid, then you need a license. Okay? By the way, I know you're looking here where it says exchange of free services, right? That means I'm helping you, but you're going to give me something, a service. It is an exchange, right? I'm going to help you sell, but you're going to help me with secretarial work for the next 2 weeks, right? It is an exchange of or value or compensation. So Robin's asking, so if I sell my dad's house and don't take any compensation for it, I don't have to be licensed in Virginia? VA, is that it? Okay. So do you have to be licensed? So again, every state law is different, but usually the answer, that's what we have here. If you're not getting any type of compensation, then no, you don't need a license. You're selling on behalf of your dad versus a third party and getting paid. Okay? You guys good? Great. The following services fall into license required category. Does that include love? No, love and affection will make it clearly a free service altogether. No other expectation. Because love is not a service. If it was well, yeah, anyway. So go back to this. I was just thinking some debates recently where they talk about some things trying to legalize. Anyway, brokering of sale, lease, or exchange transactions needs a license. Managing property, including rental activities, needs a license. Appraising, counseling, syndicating, and auctioning. If these are done on behalf of a third party, not you, right? Nor are you a salaried employee. If it's a third party, like you open up your own company or using a service, or you're providing a service to a third party, then you need to have a license to do any of these, including property management. Okay? A lot of people think you don't need a license for property management. Well, if I'm managing your property and you're not my employer, you contracted me, there's a difference, right? And if I'm your employee, I'm an extension of the owner, I don't need a license. If you contracted my services, so 1099 for instance, then I need a license. Every state has a different rule regarding this as well, but generally, as it says here, generally, these require licenses. All right. Next. Exemptions. Real estate license laws commonly, so not everywhere or always, commonly exempt the following from license requirements. As I said, employees of a property owner who are not paid on a per transaction basis, such as on-site rental agent in an apartment complex, so exactly what I was saying. Employees in a transient lodging facility, such as motels and hotels. Managers of residential condos and co-ops. Dealers in cemetery lots. I don't know why they call them dealers. Attorneys performing regular legal duties for a principal, or persons acting in a court-appointed capacity. So these right here, these last two, to understand this is very simple. Let's say you passed away and we go to the probate court and there's no will. Well, the court is going to appoint somebody, a trustee, right? In this case, they're going to call you an administrator to handle the assets of the deceased party, okay? So if the court says to be able to give out the money that's inherited, right? The court says, the judge says, hey, Chris, you're the administrator. I'm going to appoint you, and you are responsible for selling this property and distributing the assets to the heirs whenever possible, right? Then, Chris, you're not licensed yet, but I, as a judge, appointed you to do this. So as long as it's a court appointment, so the judge says you do it, right? Then you have that exemption. Attorneys, let's say it's a divorce situation and you don't want to go to court, you want to do amicably, and both of you agree that the attorney can handle it, as an example, right? Or if it's a legal guardian or anything like that. Both of these are for that purpose only. The moment any of these engage, the moment they engage in constant real estate activities or daily real estate activities, then they need a license. You got it? So if it's either court appointed or for that single purpose right here, as an attorney, do you need a license? The answer is normally no. But you turn this into daily activities and then you need a license. State licensing agencies issue two principal types of licenses, the broker's license and salesperson license. Within these types are variations based on the active or inactive status of the license and on the business identity and professional capacity. That's why we have right here, under the broker's license, usually we're talking about the broker of record, which is the one responsible for everybody, right? So usually it's an individual, active or inactive, could receive a broker's broker of record license, right? Could be for you to open a corporation, LLC, partnership, or anything like that. You need to have, in most states, you need to have at least one broker of record, right? And you could be a non-resident broker of record. So if your main office is in one state and you open a branch office in another state, right? But you're still the broker of record, then you'll be a non-resident broker of record. Now, under the salesperson license, we have the individual salesperson and we have a broker salesperson, right? So what is a broker salesperson? Well, it's somebody that said, you know what, I qualify to become a broker. Let me get all this education and fees out the way, right? Because I have the experience, but I'm not ready to open up my own office. So you open up, you activate your license in the salesperson capacity. So you did qualify for a broker, you passed all the exams, but you're operating under another broker. So you are a broker salesperson. The key word still is salesperson, operating under somebody else. Okay? So as we said here, an active broker's license, and when you see broker by itself, we are talking about the broker of record. Okay? When it's broker by itself. If they want to ask you specifically, about a broker salesperson, the question will state broker salesperson. Or you'll be in the answers. The question will be somebody that qualifies to become a broker and passes the licensing exam and fees and all that stuff, but still wants to operate under a sales capacity. This is an example of, and then in the answer is going to be broker salesperson. But most questions will stipulate already, if John is a broker salesperson, right? So they will start off like that. If it says broker by itself, most of the times we're talking about broker of record. Okay, so this right here. Robin, you asked me to go back to this. Let me know what your question was. And Yvette has a question as well. No. Yvette is asking, is the liability the same for a broker salesperson? No, because you are a salesperson. So liability falls on the broker of record. Now, would you be held to higher standards because you are a broker and you have the experience to become a broker? Yeah, of course. So the higher you go, the more training you have, the more designations you have, the more experience you have, the more it's expected of you. If you just got your license yesterday and you do something wrong, usually the real estate commission is going to knock on your broker's door and say, hey, what's up with that? How did you let your licensee or trainee in this example, because you just started, how'd you let your trainee make this mistake, right? So the higher you're going the chain, the more responsibility you have. Yeah, absolutely. Robin, I'm not clear on this. The broker can be an individual or a company? No. So what I said is for corporations, LLCs, and partnerships could be forms of agency ownership, right? Who is entitled to run an agency? The broker of record. So that's why it's under this column right here. So who's entitled to run the agency? A broker of record. We could be all partners, right? But if I'm the only broker of record, I'm the one responsible for all the agents. You don't even have to be licensed. You're just a partner, right? So if an agent shows up and says, let's say you guys are Ingrid, you're not licensed yet. You're just a partner. If an agent goes to you and says, hey, Ingrid, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, one, you're not even licensed. Two, you're not the managing broker nor a managing broker salesperson. So can you answer those questions? You might not be able to. If you're licensed, you can share ideas as a licensed salesperson, but ultimately, the broker record in this scenario is the one responsible for how the office runs, not the partners. All right. So in my scenario, my partner, Pedro, is the broker of record. I'm a managing partner and I'm licensed as well. So can I manage the office and direct the office? Yes. But ultimately, no matter what, whose responsibility is it? Pedro. Okay. Here in the school, can I have other instructors? Right? Yes. If they say something wrong, whose responsibility is it? Mine, because I'm the director of the school. You guys understand? So the broker of record is the one responsible for everyone, period. Okay? Every other license goes under the broker of record. Yvette's asking, is the commission higher? That's between you and your broker. That's literally between you and the broker. A lot of people, they get their broker's license or broker salesperson just to get it out of the way, and whenever they're ready, they open up their own office or they make a deal with their broker of record where they're going to be the branch office manager, as an example. So it depends. Commission is negotiable with your broker. Okay. So as it says here, a broker who does business at locations other than the principal office requires a branch office license. While the branch office must be licensed, state laws vary as to whether the branch manager requires a broker's license. In New Jersey, every branch manager must be licensed. Okay? So I have to have somebody that's responsible. So a qualified broker salesperson, for instance, would be a qualified office manager. A broker's license, Millie. A broker's license authorizes a broker to perform services anywhere within the state's borders. Everything else, you can just look out for those houses. This allows a broker to arrange a sale of an out-of-state property as long as the services are conducted within the state. It also allows brokers from one state to co-broker a transaction with a broker from another state, provided that neither broker performs services in each other's state. So the answer is right here. You don't perform services in that state. A non-resident license, however, empowers a broker to practice in another state. This type of license is commonly issued in areas near state lines where residents of the two states are frequently principals in the transaction. Okay, here comes Yvette's question. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that on the border question. What's the criteria for a non-resident? You don't live in the state. Everything else is the same. Oh, and you have to consent to be sued in that state. That's pretty much the biggest difference. The hours in the test, that's the requirement of each state. That's what I'm going to go over right now. So every state has their own rules. For instance, New Jersey has no reciprocity with any state. We don't like them, they don't like us. This is just the way it is. So if you want to have a license in New Jersey, you have to go through class and you have to pass a state exam. If you want to take your New Jersey license somewhere else, it's up to that state to allow it or not. Most states, nope, oh, you're from Jersey, huh? Nope. That's how it is. Okay, so in absence of a non-resident license, a broker's license from one state usually does not confer authority to operate in another state since there is no reciprocity in licensing between states. A broker who holds a Virginia real estate license has no authority to operate in Wyoming. However, a licensed broker desiring a license in another state may be excused from some of the licensing requirements that an unlicensed applicant has to meet. So could you be waived some hours of the course? Maybe. Like here in New Jersey, depending on your experience in some other states, Pennsylvania, New York, for instance, you might have to do only like 15 hours state specific, but you have to submit a request to the state of New Jersey Real Estate Commission to say, it's called a waiver, and I have those waivers, but you have to submit that request of saying, hey, I'm experiencing another state, do I have to go through the whole thing? You submit that, and if the Real Estate Commission gives you a letter that says you're exempt, then you come to the class and do just this week, for instance, the state-specific week. Make sense? All right? That's also another reason why we changed the books. The book that I had before, everything was blended throughout the book. Here we have nationwide, and now we have state coming up. So if I wanted to help people from other states have a New Jersey license, all they have to do is the 15 hours if they're approved by the state. Okay? I still recommend, no matter what, do the whole hours, the 75 hours in the state of New Jersey. Right? That's what I recommend, because if you took the license, the course, pre-licensing course 3 years ago, yeah, you guys are gonna see it. When you go to become brokers 3 years later, you're gonna see how you're gonna be like, wait a minute, that's not how we do in real life. What is that document? What is this document? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's Chinese right now. No offense to the Chinese culture, but just meaning I don't understand, right? So the point is, even if you go to a different state, unless you do it immediately, like let's say you wanted to do a New York license, I recommend doing it right now if that's what you want. Doesn't make sense to me, but if that's what you really want, do it now. Because 70% of the exam is the same. 70% of the exam is what we covered until today. And then tomorrow we start state specific. So again, it's a good backup study type of thing. Right? Everything is fresh, good to go. That's what I would recommend. All right, salesperson license. A salesperson may hold an active or inactive license depending on whether the agent is currently employed and performing services. So if you're not sponsored, then you cannot actively participate, but your license is inactive. It's not void, it's inactive. And they'll tell you, you have to renew your license or activate your license up to whatever date. Simple. In the case of a broker, as in the case of a broker's license, a salesperson who wishes to leave the business temporarily can voluntarily deactivate that license. A broker salesperson license is a salesperson license held by a duly licensed broker who prefers to act as a salesperson on behalf of an employing broker instead of performing services as a broker. Since a salesperson can only act in one capacity, an agent of an employing broker, right, an individual, may not be an active broker while holding an active broker salesperson license. So you're one thing or the other. You cannot be broker salesperson and broker, at least not within the same state. Can you be in a different state, a broker, and then operate as a broker salesperson somewhere else? Sure. But within the same state? No. Bianca, you have a bigger coffee mug? I want one of those. Like, to run the whole 4 hours, I want one of those. Please. So, right here, sorry. The address is 18 Oliver Street. We're on the 3rd floor, Newark, New Jersey. You can mail it. Care of Bruno. Totally fine. You were looking for a bigger one? How much coffee do you drink? Jeez. I'll know what to get you for Christmas then. Oh, you just drink tea? Okay, cool. I'll get you a... How tall are you, if you don't mind me asking? 5'4"? Okay, cool. Just watch out for a big package by Christmas, okay? All right, next. Voided license. Licensees, that would be much appreciated, she says. Okay, cool. Licensees may not practice real estate with a voided license. I think it's common sense right now, right? And the causes for voiding a license, the reason why your license could be revoked, right, is expiration, meaning you never renewed your license. Suspension, that means you did something and one of the penalties was, we're going to void your license. Or full revocation. That means the state said, hey, based on the crimes you committed, that's it. You cannot hold a license. In addition, it is important to note that if an employing broker license expires, is suspended, or is revoked, then the licenses of all broker salespersons, brokers, salespeople are likewise voided. So, imagine that I'm your broker, and I do something wrong, and my license is revoked or suspended. If I'm your broker, then I'm your sponsor. If my license is not active, how can yours be active? Does that make sense? So, with that being said, careful with the brokerage that you work for. If along the way you feel that your broker is unethical or allows unethical dealings in the office, I highly recommend that you disassociate yourself with that broker and find another one. All right? Only to protect yourselves. Francielli is asking, do you know anyone that has their license revoked? Is that common? Yes. It is very common, especially when it comes to commingling. The biggest or the most common reason for suspension or revocation is commingling. So I know some brokers that got their license suspended as a broker, but they can operate as a salesperson. They just cannot hold a broker's license anymore, at least for X amount of years. Yvette, what if we don't know? Can't we just move on? You can move on whenever you want. All I was saying is, if you do see stuff that, you know, it's not that kosher, then move. You can move at any time. You can join us, and then tomorrow you want to join another agency, move. You want to go to another agency, then join us later on, whenever you want. You're an independent. You make the decision, not me. That you could have said that in a different way. Not in case, right? We have you in case something goes wrong. Like yeah, Stephanie, thank you. Right? Stephanie felt my pain when I read that. Look at that. Yeah, you're the last resort. Why would I go? If something goes wrong, Bruno, I'll come to you. Don't worry about it. Anyway, so there's a contract. Great question. There's a contract with the broker, independent contractor agreement, but it's not an employment agreement. It's a sponsorship agreement. And if you're happy, you stay for as long as you want. If you're not happy, you can always look for last resorts. We'll take you. Next, Yvette. Did you say our license is affected as well? Yes. So as soon as you know your license was affected, like as soon as your license gets suspended, could you move to another agency? Yeah. If it was not your fault, if you did not participate in any of those bad dealings, right? You can move. Nobody's going to hold you accountable for that. Again, you can switch at any time. If all else fails. I got you, Nirka. See how it is. Don't forget, you guys need my certificate if you want to finalize this course. Same. Yvette, I'm a very powerful guy over here. Same. All right, how long is the suspension? It's up to the real estate commission. All right, so whatever they rule. But you guys can always look up. You can always look up the state's real estate commission website. It will talk about. There's a section there to talk about rulings that the real estate commission had against brokers or salespeople. Actually, I was just telling that to a broker recently. I said, "Hey, you're not a salesperson anymore, so be careful what you say or what you do. You're training other people, so be careful. They know what they're saying or what they're doing, right? So it's different. Like we talked about before, the higher you go, the more is expected of you, right? So that's what I said. Go check out the lists of suspensions and revocations and find out the reason why they were suspended or revoked, right? So you can prevent becoming one of these people, right? And by the way, the suspension doesn't have to be wrong dealings in real estate, right? If there's fraud outside of real estate, let's say, insurance, like I do insurance as well. Let's say I did something wrong in insurance and I lost my license or I'm being sued in the insurance portion. I have to notify the real estate commission that I'm being sued regarding my professional license, right? There's one that I saw, I think it was last year. Because I keep on checking new cases. I like to be updated on that and reasons so I can let you guys know. So I checked a recent New Jersey case. This was from last year. And the guy got into a car accident. And it was like a hit and run. That's fraud, right? Immediately, that's fraud. Now, you'd think the hit and run would not affect your real estate license. Yes, it does. You committed fraud. Right away, as soon as the real estate commission find out, which was a couple of years after his license, as soon as the real estate commission find out, they revoked the license and applied penalties. So, can you lie on your application? No. Can you have outside issues when you represent the great state that you're in? No. Can you get it back? That depends on the real estate commission and if it was a suspension or permanent revocation. Okay? They might say a suspension, like I said, there's a broker that her license got suspended because of commingling. And they suspended they revoked her as a broker and suspended her for 2 years or whatever it was as a salesperson. So after 2 years, she could become a salesperson, right? And that's what she did. As far as revocation, we're canceling your license. It's void. And then how long can you get it back? Again, up to the real estate commission. Okay. That's why, while license requirements might vary from state to state, they commonly focus on personal background, education, real estate experience, and the licensing examination. So personal requirements to qualify for a broker's or salesperson license, an applicant must be of legal age and mentally competent, so 18 years of age or older and of sound mind. In addition, the applicant may be required to have a high school diploma or its equivalent. Moral character. Moral character, that means you know what's right, you know what's wrong, and you choose to do the right thing. Simple. That's why every 2 years we got to teach you about ethics here in New Jersey. I will. Robin, I will. All right, educational prerequisites. Again, every state has their own ruling regarding the amount of hours you need to become licensed. I already addressed that. Educational prerequisites for a broker's license consist of additional real estate courses or other advanced courses, including college, business courses in some states, and also some type of experience. Okay. Every state has a different rule for this. State of New Jersey, as an example, 3 years of experience as a full-time salesperson would qualify you to become a broker. So again, every state has their own rulings regarding this. Agency affiliation. So generally, an applicant for a salesperson license does not need to have a commitment from an employing broker to obtain a license. In the absence of an employer, the state will usually issue an inactive license which can be activated when the licensee is hired. Okay? So automatically apply for your license, right? Even if you don't have a sponsoring broker. But what I do recommend, as soon as you pass the state exam, run to a broker. Say, hey, here's my paperwork, post it somewhere, whatever you need to do. I just want to activate it. If you're not sure where to go yet, which you should be already interviewing brokers, right? If you're not sure where to go yet, place it somewhere. You can always move, but at least activate it. And I'm telling you this because you have 1 year here in the state of New Jersey. You have 1 year to activate your license after completing our course. So do you know how fast a year goes? It's a blink of an eye, right? Except for 2020. But all the other years, blink of an eye, real quick. This year is just dragging. It feels like my whole lifetime, right? Anyway. Can you do what? Sorry, Francielli. What is your question? And Stephanie, I'm typing. And Robin, I did not forget, just getting over the license so I can address commingling, which is separate from this. All right, so to address both Francielli and Stephanie, can you just join an agency and not interview? Some agencies, they require you to be a full-time agent. Not many agencies require that nowadays, right? Some agencies don't mind of you being a part-time. If you show up there and say, hey, I like your colors. Could you please activate my license? A broker might say yes, might say no. They might require the interview. But the interview process is, like, every agency has a different way of doing it. Interview process is not bring me your resume, let me see who you are, right? Interview process would be like, what do you expect to do in real estate? And if you are the person that fits our company, then we'd hire you. If I'm the company that fits your expectations, then you'd be hired. We'd come to a mutual agreement, and that's it. Does that make sense? But again, the recommendation is start interviewing now. And that means start finding out what are the fees, what is the training, where did you feel most comfortable, and then activate your license. Okay? Francielli, again, anywhere, anyone. Our agency, a Remax, a Center 21, wherever you want, just slap your license somewhere because a year goes by really fast. After you slap your license, it's activated for 2 years. That's it. But if you don't put your license somewhere, right, then you have that 1 year to activate, which goes by really, really, really fast. So in sum, yes. The answer is yes, Franciel. Okay. Agency affiliation, I already explained that. Application. All aspects of the license application, including background data, references, prior experience in real estate, fingerprinting, and required fees, must be complete for an application to be processed. So you need to do your fingerprinting before you come to a broker. You need to pass the state exam before you have the broker sign it, because that report at the end, that certificate from the state examination center, will allow the broker to sponsor, along with the fee, $160 here in New Jersey, and along with the fingerprinting for the background check. All that is submitted to the state by your broker. So until all is put together, your broker cannot activate your license. I'm sorry. Miguel, could you... I missed something. Anniversary year, or are you talking about the license being active for 2 years? I can't see you. It's really dark. Okay. So every state has different rules. I'm going to get to that, the license expiration, and every 2 years. But here in the state of New Jersey is by June 30th, your license expires. A new licensing period starts July 1st of every odd numbered years. That's, again, in New Jersey, right? Let's see. State license examination. We already talked about that. Continue education. Most states now require, we already talked about that every 2 years you do CE credits, or right before the license it renews, you got to do CE credits. Okay, so as far as fingerprinting, Landers is saying application says after application, I'm not sure, after taking the state exam. I'll tell you what I did and what I recommend people to do. What I did is I went through the whole course. I went to take my state exam, and then I did my fingerprinting. So it took about a month and a half from passing the examination and submitting to the state, right, to actual activation, because they didn't have my background check there yet. It takes a couple of weeks to get there. Once he gets there, they'll match to whatever application is on file, and depending on how much of a criminal you are, it will take a little bit longer for them to verify your whole rap sheet. And mine apparently was very long because it took a month and a half. The way I've been telling people to do, after taking the state exam and bringing it to your broker, it takes roughly 5 to 10 business days to get your license active. So you're looking at 1 to 2 weeks to activate your license and start working. So can you do your fingerprint before? Absolutely. The reason why a lot of people don't, because you're afraid you won't pass the exam. So you prefer to wait until after. Like, it's totally up to you. You know if you're going to be confident enough or not. I recommend do it now. Simple. Because this way, as soon as you do it, it's sent to the state. When your application gets there, everything is matched right there and then. Right? But it's totally up to you. What other questions do I have? Francielli, no matter when you... Okay, the renewal, yeah. Doesn't matter when you activate it, the renewal is going to happen anyway. Absolutely. Yvette, if I'm not mistaken, it's valid for about 6 months. So don't worry too much about it. If you fail the state exam for any reason, guys, stop talking about failure. Don't think about passing. Don't think about failing. Just think about doing your best and see what comes out. Forget the outcome. Do your best. The moment you focus on passing or failing, that's the moment you fail. Or if you fail by one, as just happened to a student of mine, which is, I'll be honest, it's the worst thing. If you fail by one, they're crushed, right? So forget the outcome. Do your best. And doesn't matter what happens, because you know what? You always have another chance. Simple. Okay? Remove the outcome. As Gary Vee says, enjoy the process. Simple. All right? Oh, Verona joined us. I saw your message. You're still fired. Anyway, so we talk about continuous education. Elena, it's $47 in the state of New Jersey. All right, license regulation. The Real Estate Commission, regulation focus, and bonds and recovery funds. So in addition of establishing the real estate licensing requirements, state license laws provide for establishment of real estate regulatory entity to administer and enforcing licensing legislation. This entity is most often known as the state's Real Estate Commission. Now, in some states, it is a real estate department or similarly named entity within the state's Department of License Regulation. Some of them is just a professional licensing department, something like that. A state real estate commission has the authority to oversee the licensing process, administer all aspects of licensing laws, receive and deliberate on consumer complaints, and handle problems between licensees. To enable it to discharge its responsibilities, the state empowers its real estate commission to institute binding regulations for licensees. Now, the structure. So most real estate commissions are comprised of a group of commissioners appointed by the executive branch of state government, commonly the governor. And commissioners serve a term of the office which may be renewable depending on the state law. The Real Estate Commission usually employs support staff to manage the day-to-day affairs of the agency, and it's common for the support staff to be headed by a salaried executive director. The Real Estate Commission's authority is generally regulatory, judicial, and administrative. What does that mean? The Real Estate Commission has like full powers. They can handle all the complaints, as we said. They can handle regulations and decide on new statutes and regulations to be implemented at state level. Okay, we already talked about that. Right here, regulated standards of practice and conduct. A second mission of the Real Estate Commission is to enact enforceable guidelines defining the ethical and professional behavior of licensees. These guidelines may include specific sanctions against fraud, including misrepresentation, concealment, and collusion, violations of fiduciary duty, negligence, failure to make required disclosures, blah, 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 blah. We handle all this stuff throughout the previous chapters. The Real Estate Commission is the one that enforces and issues specific fees, fines, and potential jail time based on whatever you did. How do they handle complaints? The Real Estate Commission must enforce licensing laws and regulations. Enforcement commonly takes the form of acting on complaints received from consumers and other licensees. So yeah, I can complain about you. Like Miguel, if you step into my turf, I'm going to complain about you. You know what I'm saying? It's Newark. That's how it is. All right. So a Real Estate Commission, we can work together. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm not that bad. All right. I'll give you the tiniest zip code for you to work in. Right here, a Real Estate Commission typically establishes a formal procedure to handle complaints and disputes in orderly fashion. When a complaint comes into the commission, the complainant generally must file a formal complaint detailing all relevant circumstances of the dispute. Delegated officials then investigate the complaint, and if they find that the complaint has substance, the commission conducts hearings and further investigation. If necessary, this is the power that the commission has. If necessary, the commission then issues an official order of disciplinary action. The licensee may appeal the commission's ruling in the appropriate state court. The cool thing is that depending on what it is, you can appeal to the commission directly. If no result, then you can go to state court. Violation of any license law provision or regulation is punishable by suspension or revocation. We already talked about that. If the infraction is a violation of criminal law, then the commission may report the case to the proper judicial authority. So if you committed fraud, forgery, right, theft, anything like that, the Real Estate Commission can forward this to the proper judicial authority. So not only do you get in trouble with the commission, but also there'll be some policing against you. All right. So the outcome of many cases of licensing law is a negotiated financial settlement or a court order money judgment against the violator. So if you did something wrong and it's proven that you did something wrong, then you're going to have a fine, right? Or some type of penalty to pay. If the licensee lacks the financial resources, the settlement or judgment may be to some extent uncollectible. To avoid this situation, many states require licensees to obtain a bond at a cost or nominal annual fee, and the bond covers the difference between potential settlement amounts and the licensee's financial resources for satisfying judgment or settlement. Other states, rather than requiring a bond, establish a real estate recovery fund. What does that mean? The state of New Jersey, for example, we have the guarantee fund. What does that mean? It means that if you don't have enough money, right, and somebody sues you, they're going to sue you, your broker, and the real estate commission, right, for compensation. If you don't have enough money, the real estate commission will tap into the funds and pay a portion of the money judgment on your behalf. The problem is your license will most likely be suspended or revoked until you pay it back with interest. Okay? That's why we have insurance, errors in omission insurance, in case you make mistakes. Verona, does bond mean insurance? Yes and no. Okay, so you either have your own individual bond, which is a guarantee that you purchase, like a bail's bond, for instance, a guarantee you purchase, or you have insurance. Now, state of New Jersey, there's a guarantee fund that the state administers, and most brokers ask you to have an insurance, errors and omission insurance through them. So every time they add an agent, they expand their errors and omissions policy to cover an additional agent. So that's the expense. Again, the insurance does not cover fraud. So a bond or the guarantee fund will have to take over in order to protect the general public from your fraud. If it's a mistake, well, errors and omissions. Errors, mistakes. Omissions, something you did not disclose. Not on purpose, but you did not disclose. So they cover through that. All right? Any questions before we move on to risk? Questions before I move on to risk? Risk management? And don't worry, we're going to get into state specifics. So if there's any question regarding New Jersey licensing, we'll get there. If there's any question regarding other state licensing, we'll get there. Francelli, so far this is the most easy chapter. Yep. I agree. I agree 100%. Miguel, so that's the fee the broker charges the agent. Again, every agency has their own sets of fees or regulations. That could be the fee they charge the agent, or they might impose that you get your own errors in omission. Again, every agency is different when it comes to that. Okay. Some agencies charge you fees for copies, for calls, for fax, for why are you here at the office? Why are you still breeding? Just why do you exist fees? They have so many fees, right? Even French fry fees, right? So every agency has their own set of fees. That's why I say that it's very important to find a common ground between fees and leadership. Like, I don't mind paying fees if I'm going to have leadership. If I don't have leadership and I'm paying fees, there's a problem. So find a common ground, whatever you feel comfortable with. But leadership is key. Doesn't matter what fees are charged, leadership is key. Do I have a course on negotiating with a broker and agents? No. That's a good one. Any other questions? We're going to come up with a course on how to negotiate. That's not a bad idea. I'll come up with something free. How about that? A free course. The 10 things you should ask a real estate broker. All right? Sounds good? All right. Verona, silly question. Well, coming for you, I'm already expecting. No, just kidding. Silly question. What do you mean when you say leadership? Well, Verona, let me ask you something. What do you know about real estate? What do you know? Right now, you just know the real estate Bible, which is what we're going over, right? Without offense, the real estate Quran or whatever you want to call it is just as a reference, right? So this is the religion that we're in. It's real estate right now, right? So that's all you know so far. And the few hints that I give here and there. But what do you really know about real estate? What experience do you have as an agent? Nothing. So when I say leadership, is somebody that can hold your hand and tell you, okay, Verona, this is how you're going to get buyers. This is how you're going to get sellers. Now get going, right? And then hold you accountable for what you said you wanted to do. So when you come to my office, as an example, you come to my office and say, Bruno, I want to make $100,000 a year, or $200,000 a year, or I want to make $1 million a year, whatever goal you set, right? Depending on how aggressive you are, that's how aggressive we're going to be in holding you accountable. Some agencies, oh, you want to make $1 million, huh? Okay, go out there and do something, right? And that's all they do. Some agencies say, hey, there's online training, so go ahead and just watch the trainings and let me know if you have any questions, right? That's not leadership. Leadership is holding you accountable. Leadership is asking you questions. Leadership is, how can I help you? That's what I'm talking about, okay? Telling you that there's online resources. You know what? There's YouTube then. You don't need me. You don't need a broker. There's YouTube. So leadership is having somebody be there for you, okay? Yvette, top 20 things. I said 10. Yvette goes for 20 things. Okay. To look for or ask when finding an agent to represent you. What do you mean? For the buyer or the seller? Well, agent to represent you, that's what it is. It's for the buyer or the seller. I can give you books about that you can put your face on and be yours. Okay, sponsor. See, the sponsor doesn't represent you. You represent the sponsor. That's why I was like, you know. But anyway, I don't know about the top 20 things. Maybe I'll give you 10 hints for free. I'll charge you for the other 10, okay? $1. Is that okay? Verona, I will not say that or post that, but sure, we'll take it. Don't forget, I don't recruit. I am not recruiting. If we happen to be one of your choices of interview, we'll gladly accept you here. But do not recruit. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go into that break before we jump into the next chapter. It's 7:16, so 7:25 we'll be back. Deal? All right. See you guys in a bit.